you're thinking about becoming a landlord, probably the most common question that I ask is where's going to be the best place for me to buy my buy-to-let property, and that can kind of change during different times, but most areas in Edinburgh you'll be pretty safe. It's not the largest city, so it's easier for people to commute from one place to the other, or depending where they might have friends or family or work, would be dependent on where they want to live. So there's no areas that are not great, and there's no area that's where you need to be. So the good news is there are many different areas across the cities where people are looking to rent. As a prospective landlord, the hot spots, I guess, at the moment are areas kind of along Abbey Hill, Meadowbank, Holyrood, that kind of area. So it's popular with families, professionals and students. You've got lots of great amenities. It's really easy to get into the city centre. You've got the green spaces, you're close to Holyrood Park, and then in the other direction you're not too far along from Portobello and the beach. So that's proven a really popular area at the moment. And if you were to go to the other side of the city, kind of going along from kind of Murrayfield out to Corstorphine and South Gyle, again, that's really popular just now, and there are lots of tenants, maybe more families. They're finding that those kind of areas, especially once you get out to South Gyle, you can have parking and gardens and maybe little houses that are more suitable for families. So those are areas at the moment that we're seeing lots of interest, and the purchase prices are still reasonable, so they're turning into be quite a good investment. Another one from both new and existing landlords, I guess, is should I offer my property furnished or unfurnished? There is demand for both. So it's really what works best for you, I guess. If you have a property that's furnished, great. If you don't, then the likelihood of going out and purchasing a complete property's worth of furniture is not going to really work out financially, and you would be better to offer it unfurnished. There's actually very little difference in the rent that you can achieve between furnished and unfurnished. The leases are exactly the same, the notice periods, everything is exactly the same, and of course if you have an unfurnished property, there's maybe less for you to replace should things go wrong. So that's another consideration. Slightly more people looking for furnished, I would say, but unfurnished is getting more and more popular, and we find maybe tenants that bring their own furniture and kind of make it more of their own home will stay a little longer if that's what you're looking for. Other questions I get asked a lot is about maintenance and what areas are important for a tenant. So tenants, when they're looking at properties, they're looking to rent, their main areas of concern are that there's no issues with damp or mould, drafty windows, that appliances are up to date, that the furnishings aren't dated. So those are kind of areas as a landlord, if you're looking to concentrate or maybe improve on, then those would be areas that I say that tenants are most concerned with. New kitchens and bathrooms are always nice. They don't have to be all singing and all dancing, as long as they are clean and functioning and look good, then that would appeal to a tenant. So those would be the main areas. Again, kind of similar with decor, just keep things nice and fresh and clean and neutral, so that when tenants do move in, they can bring their own things and personalise the property and make it more homely for them. Now, you are always able to get your property back as long as you have a reason. So under the new style leases, which is a private residential tenancy, you need to be able to serve your notice to your tenant with a reason. So you may be selling the property or returning to live in it yourself, or you want to carry out renovations. Your tenant may be in breach of the lease, or they might be in rent arrears. As long as there are a reason, then that's fine. The length of the tenancy and the reason on why you're serving notice will depend or decide the actual length of the notice that you need to provide. So that can be anywhere from 28 days to 84 days. So if you are needing to serve notice and you have an agent, then that's great. They will steer you and make sure the correct notice period is provided. If you are managing the property yourself, then there's lots of information online about the notice periods, so that all of the details are readily available there. But as long as you've got a reason, you'll always be able to get your property back. So it's an entirely personal choice. What I would say, obviously, as a letting agent is we're here to help. We're professionals. This is what we do all day, every day. We're entirely up to speed with all of the regulations, which are changing constantly, and we have the time to focus on you, your property, and your tenants. Whilst it's not necessarily difficult looking after your property yourself, it is time consuming. So if you have a busy life where you hold down your own job, you've got a busy family life, you've got lots of other things going on, think about whether you really have the time to be able to dedicate to properly managing your property. It's great maybe if there are no issues, but if something does crop up, your tenant calls you at 2 o'clock in the morning because there's water leaking through their ceiling and you're on holiday, then that's not a great situation. If you've got a management agency, then they will deal with that for you. So sometimes the cost of paying for an agent really does give you the peace of mind. My advice would be, in this kind of environment where things are constantly changing, constantly being updated, constantly being regulated, for the peace of mind that you as a landlord are meeting all these requirements, as well as your property being looked after and your tenant being looked after, is I would always recommend using a letting agent. Hopefully that was helpful, but if you do have any more questions or are looking for more information, then please visit our website at espc.com/lettings.